What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Trippe. I'm so excited that you have joined us for another episode of our podcast. This is the very first episode of our rebrand. We were known as the REI Masterclass Podcast, and now we are rebranding and shifting to REI Live, Real Estate Investing Live. And the main reason we decided to do this is because we're already bringing on fantastic national guests, and we just decided to go ahead and do it and go national. That does not mean that we're not going to continue to do the Birmingham area market analysis, which I think is very important. It doesn't mean that we're not going to bring on investors that are local to Birmingham in the state of Alabama. We're still going to do that, but we've just been having so many phenomenal guests on that are all throughout the country, and we just thought it would be a disservice to you, the listener, to not continue to move forward. That today is no different. We have a fantastic guest. I want to introduce right now Mr. Peter Vekselman. How's it going today, Peter?
What's up, Brian? Good to see you. Listen, I got to do a quick little, they have these disclaimers. I don't know if people could see me, but I'm a little bit puffed up today. No big deal. I didn't get in a fight, get in a car wreck, had a little kind of minor thing done in my face. So I look like a little bit blown up. That's, let's just say I'm just excited to see you.
That's awesome. No, I'm very excited too. You just launched your podcast, and yeah. I was very honored to be the first guest on your podcast. And now you kind of get to be the first guest on our rebrand REI Live. So before we get into anything, talk about your podcast. Why did you decide to start a podcast, and what's the purpose of it?
Well, very simple. And maybe we'll get a little bit more into this as we talk today, but I've rebranded really my whole company. I've been investing in real estate, for 20 some years. Done 3,500 some deals, always been about me. And then some time ago, just kind of changed my model the way you're changing what you're doing too. And I decided that instead of trying to go out there and secure deals for myself, I want to start doing deals literally all over the nation. And I want to do it with other people in a partnership format where I bring a lot of things to the table, like money and this and that. And the reason for the podcast is that now I'm just trying to get my message out. I'm trying to get the message out that for people anywhere in the United States that are looking to do deals, that are looking for partners, money partners, expertise partners, I want to let them know what it is that I do. And, we thought that one of the best ways to do that is just by bringing guys like you on board, because then, we kind of leverage off what you have already, get the word out through individuals like you, and do what we're doing right now. You interview me, I interview you. And so we did our first one. You killed it, of course. As a matter of fact, I got another one right after we're done today. We got another one with a coaching client of mine that we coached a little while ago. Now he's absolutely killing it, and so we're going to do that. But we'll see. I'll give you a lot of feedback. I know you're way further ahead in this world than I am, but I think we're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I think that it's incredible that you really brought that up, because what you're saying is the heart of who I am and who we are, obviously through REI Live, is just to go out there and provide value. And I wrote this book called Nothing's for Sale, and it's how to actually, become the local, that you got it right there in front of you. It's awesome. It's how to become that local market expert. And one of those ways you can do that is to collaborate with other people. Like you just got done saying, Peter, you want to get your message out. You have an agenda, obviously, and you want to get your message out. But how can you come on other people's show and provide value to their audience to where, hey, you know what? This Peter guy sounds pretty awesome. I might want to contact him and do some deals with him. So let's talk about that for a second, Peter. You just said you're kind of changing your model up a little bit, and it was the me. I wanted to do a bunch of deals, but now you want to go out and do deals with other people. You call it the partner-driven real estate investing program. How does it work? Because it sounds a little bit, a lot of people say stuff like that sometimes, and they don't really truly mean it. Well, it's this qualifier and this qualifier, but you're actually out there right now, all throughout the country, doing deals with other people. How does that work?
Yeah, so just to give you a little background, like I said, I've been doing this for about 20 years, and my mainstay has always been here locally, Georgia, Florida, and California. And look, we all know that we're in a great market. We're in a hot market. Some of the difficulties that come with being in a hot market is that everyone's getting in right now. So in essence, it's getting tougher and tougher to find better and better and better deals. So what happened, and I'm a volume guy. I like to do, several dozen deals on a monthly basis. And so what started happening over a period of time is I started realizing that my cost of acquisitions here in-house was getting higher and higher and higher. For every $1 that I used to spend in marketing, I was spending almost $4.50, $5 in marketing. We're still doing deals, but the margins were getting slimmer and slimmer. So just one day I just kind of was thinking about stuff, and I just came up with this idea. I said, what if I just kind of start through social messaging out there? What if I start putting the message out that if someone across the United States is able to find a potential deal that they think is a good deal, but they need a partner, and that partner is obviously a money partner that, I bring 100% of the capital to the table. Maybe if they need an expertise partner to fix them, they need maybe an expertise partner to help them sell it, and we just split the profits. And the cool thing about it, and you know this because you've been in this business long enough, sometimes you just kind of try certain things and they just total flops. And sometimes you just try something and it's like you change everything around. Well, I tried this a while back, several months back, about a year ago, and literally it was just some messaging that I was doing through my social media. And it has absolutely revolutionized everything we do here now. My business, I used to have in my office a call center where we would take inbound calls, again, to do deals for ourselves. So this partner-driven program now is taken off to such a level. I don't know if you know this, but I've shut down my call center. I don't even have my call center anymore. We do not take inbound calls anymore. I mean, for me to sit here and tell you that I do not, and you and I worked together before. I'm a marketing guy. I'm all about marketing, generating leads and all this. So I went from owning a call center, having a couple dozen negotiators taking calls, spending $60,000 plus a month on marketing, to not owning a call center, not really having negotiators on my behalf, and not spending $60,000 anymore through messaging, just like we're doing right now, through messaging, by letting people know across the United States that, hey, if you got a deal and it's a legit deal, and it does obviously have to fall within, certain confines, and they're pretty logistic. They're not anything crazy. We want to kind of be at that market and mid-market and below, whatever the market is. We want to have a decent 30, 35% equity. And that's really the only requirement we're looking for. And Brian, this thing has taken off like crazy. I mean, we're doing deals with single moms from Miami to immigrants with $100 in their pocket before they met us, to splitting tens of thousands of dollars in the Midwest, to people out in the West Coast that didn't even know anything about real estate, to savvy investors that are like just looking to get to the next level. Right. Everything. I mean, like if you walk through my office building here, everything we do here is now changed to this partner-driven program.
Wow. And when you use the word revolutionize, you're talking specifically about social media and the way you've kind of revamped what you've done social media-wise. Talk about that, because a lot of that's in my book. I talk about social media a ton. Talk about that. Why did you decide to do that?
This is how I describe social media now. Social media to you and I now is what advertising was to you and I a couple of years back.
Totally.
I mean, I just think that if what I used to spend literally tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month on some years back, and when I say some years back, I don't mean like 20 years back. I'm talking about like a year or two ago.
Right.
Can now be achieved through social media. In my opinion, and I encourage all of our coaching clients, all of our partners, that is like when we launch people and we work with people, that is like one of the first to-dos is you have to create social media presence. Because the way I look at social media, it's a footprint. And when you're, it's like having one copy of one book. Well, when you go to a publisher and that publisher can develop, 1,000 copies, and now you're in 1,000 bookstores. Right. Well, that's what social media is. See, before when you and I were doing marketing, we have one banded sign, one corner, X amount of cars. And if that banded sign is gone, it's gone. Or we would buy traffic through the internet, and you spend $1 to buy X amount of clicks. And when that dollar's spent, you're done. The thing about social media is that it lasts. It lasts. It does not disappear. And the way social media works is that it's not done independent of another. Meaning, like if I do a video today and put it out through my social media, if I do another one tomorrow, it's my footprint gets bigger. It's not like they become dislocated and so different. You know what I mean? It just, the footprint grows. So now here's the crazy, this is what happens, Brian, literally on a daily basis here. We get calls from people all over the United States, and the call starts like this. I've been watching you on social media, or I've been watching your videos, or I've been following you on Instagram, and I think what you're doing is amazing. I mean, that's where it starts. I mean, that is where the calls are starting. So, I mean, I don't know how I got off on this big tangent.
No, it's not a tangent. This is not a tangent. This is huge, because you just got done saying you're a marketer, and social media is marketing today. It is. And what, because for someone that's always done it the way you've done it, you've always had success the way you've done it. You're a volume guy, doing the 60,000 marketing. I remember one time you were telling me however many tens of thousands of postcards you're sending out per day or per month. I forgot what it was. And you're just doing all this marketing. For you to have this complete shift in what you're doing, what led to that? What's the kind of the genesis of this? Because to revamp something completely is a really big deal. So where did it come from?
Well, two things happened. Number one, as I was saying, a need started to develop. You know, I started realizing the way of doing the old way of going after deals is, although it still works and you and I still preach it, and I know you still talk about it at your REIA clubs, I mean, the basics still work. Direct mail still works. Signs still work. Networking still works. You know, I think going to REIA clubs that you have are just amazing, and how you're building them up now across the nation. I mean, we still preach all that, okay? But I also realize that to be up, you know, at my level specifically, where I try to hit sometimes 100 deals a month or something like that, the need was created there, okay? So the need there is, I knew that I could not sustain the volume I was sustaining through old ways of marketing. But the other thing, it's almost like, and you know this because, you know, you've been in business long enough, it was almost by accident. I mean, literally, I just went to social media, and I never really had a big social media presence. I mean, I've always done Facebook with the kids, and, you know, I've never been on Instagram up until 6 months ago. And, you know, I always thought Instagram was this little like thing for pretty girls or something. You know what I mean? I mean, literally, you know, YouTube was just something that, you know, you go, you know, if something breaks, you go fix it, and you look at YouTube. I hear people talk about it. That's what social media was to me just until, you know, several months ago. But I did have a presence. For, you know, the years I've been in this business. I've been, you know, at least loyal, putting some things out there, okay? And so the accident, you know, so need was here, and then accidentally, again, I just started coming up with this concept of, you know, you find it, we fund it. Now, the whole concept really came together when we tied the last piece to it, that people started calling us, and they started asking us, and this is where this final, you know, this kind of the ultimate answer to your question, how this whole thing, you know, developed. What started happening is I started putting this messaging out, because you know how this works. You put a message out and then you fine tune it. You know, a lot of times, I mean, hopefully we could put the right kind of message out right away, but many times we can't, and all this. So initially the message was literally, you find it, Mr. United States, let us know. We'll come in, we'll give you 100% of the capital, we'll partner, we'll do the deals, we'll split the profits. But what started happening is we started putting that messaging out, is that people started calling us, and they started putting a caveat in the whole thing. They started saying, I like what you're doing, but I don't know how to find it. But if I knew I had a legitimate partner in the back end, I would want to know how to find it. And so what brought this whole thing together is that we started saying, okay, then we're going to start teaching you how to find it. And that's when we tied in the educational piece. So now almost all of our partners, they actually originate to our educational piece, where we teach them how to find it. We teach them how to market. We market for them, actually, a lot of things. We fix it with them. And that's the whole thing. And again, this goes back to social media. Social media allows you and I to change our message very quickly. Totally. I mean, you and I could literally go to social media today and almost reamp everything that we're talking about. And so through social media, we can get a lot of response back. You know, we can get a lot of response back. And so when I started changing it up, not just you find that we find it, but if you want to learn how to find it, that's when the whole thing just, matter of fact, when I switched to that, you want to learn how to find it, there were some Hollywood producers that heard about this, and now they're doing a reality show on us. because they think this is the coolest concept in the world, because this messaging transcends the whole United States. You know what I mean? It's like
Totally.
anyway, you can be white, black, male, female, thin, big, fat, whatever it is, everyday people doing real life deals with like kind of a real estate guru. So
Definitely. I want to get to that. I want to talk about Hollywood coming in and doing some stuff. I've definitely got that on my sheet I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about the education piece. We're going to get to that in a second. Hopefully you guys, the listener, you're getting some incredible value so far. And if you haven't really completely sold out and bought into just social as a way to get your message out, Peter is living proof, did a complete 180 in his business. But Peter, before we get to all that, I really want to kind of go back in time for a while, like a ways back. And I don't really know how old you are, but you're a little bit older than I am.
A lot older. 50.
All right. Well, I didn't want to. No, you're not that older. You're 10 years. So talk about just you kind of growing up and first getting into real estate, first hearing about real estate. Where did it all come from you?
Well, my real big impact into real estate actually started in college, because I did so poor in college, I couldn't even get a job interview. I mean, I literally forget getting a job. I couldn't even get an interview when I came out of college. So I was always forced to have my own thing. I don't even know what a W-2 paycheck looks like. So right out of college, I got into doing my own thing. And I kind of, I went through a number of businesses, went through a vending company, had a good run there, sold it to a major company, did a couple other businesses. Then a buddy of mine got into merchant processing business. And that's where we really made a killing. I mean, that was my big first hit in life. We ended up franchising that company. We sold 15 franchises quickly over 3 short years, had 100 employees working for me, realized that I'm not a corporate guy. I mean, I wasn't even in charge of my own company. So I kind of sold out of that company. And one day I was just sitting and somebody handed me a book. I don't know if you may have heard of this guy, Lonnie Scruggs, Deals on Wheels.
Absolutely. Lonnie Deals. I have a mobile home park, so I know all about it.
You got it. So I read the book overnight, thought it was the most incredible thing since sliced bread, read it, called Lonnie the next day, went on one of his seminars like the next weekend, came back home, bought my first mobile home that same week. 3 years later, became the largest broker here in Georgia. And if you know anything about if your listeners know anything about Georgia, it's kind of like your state. We have a lot of mobile homes, and so to that we did really good. We were flipping about 100 of them a month. We developed a very unique model. And by the way, that's not to get off on a tangent again, but this is why I think I've always achieved some kind of a good measure of success. Right. Is I never try to compete at where everybody else competes. I always try to create my own playing field. And you may have heard me talk about this. And so even back then when I was in the mobile homes, we created a model nobody else was doing. Right. And that allowed us to go from just me and Jeff, that was my partner, to just a 2-guy show to the largest brokers here in Georgia, because we did something nobody else was doing. Right. And then literally overnight, the whole business changed. The financing fell out. I mean, within 5 or 6 months, every single major player got out. Greenpoint got out, Greentree got out, B of A got out, MHFC got out. I mean, literally within 6 months, we couldn't get financing for our back-end buyers. And then, so that's how I got into real estate. I was just trying to figure out, we were crushing it in mobile homes, and this kind of just became the natural thing. Went to 1 or 2 seminars and thought I had it figured out because I was killing it at mobile homes. And, 6 months later, lost about $500,000 in real estate because, I realized quickly real estate is not really mobile homes. You kind of think it is, and there's some similarities, but it's definitely a little different. And, but never quit the business. And I know you see it all the time, just running REIAs, when people come in and they're on the verge of quitting, and, you and I see it from such a different standpoint. We're like, quit. Why would you quit on this, And because, you've been through challenges. I know I've been through challenges. And, totally. Now we look back and it's like, hell, why would anybody ever want to quit? And so I persevered, and here we are 20 years later.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what year was that you started doing the Lonnie deals?
It was probably in the late 90s.
Okay. So you got your toe kind of dipped into real estate a little bit, really more vehicle type of, situations. But so just kind of listening to your story, Peter, it sounds to me like you've always kind of had that entrepreneurship kind of mentality. Where do you think that came from?
Interestingly enough, it did not come from my parents. The reason I say interestingly enough is that I'm as close to my parents as you'll ever see anyone as close to their parents. I have lunch with my dad a couple times a week. So I've always been very, very close. But I grew up in a family with both parents have PhDs. My mom designed nuclear power plants. My dad was a top engineer and literally the top engineer in the world in his profession. So I didn't get the gene from them. I literally, again, a need. When I say I could not get a job when I got to college, I couldn't even get an interview. So I wasn't thinking business. When I was in college, I was thinking, I'm going to get a job probably. I'm going to do what everybody else does. I wasn't even really thinking it through. And then I got out, and my friends were getting jobs, and they were going to their big six accounting firms, and they were getting great sales jobs. Dude, I couldn't even get an interview. I couldn't even, no one wanted to talk to me. So that was to get into. I was at the bottom of my class. I thought that was obvious. Why?
I don't know.
Like if you go to Miami University, when the year I graduated, literally, I'm sure on your shows you've had cum laudes, top of the class. You're probably one of those brainy guys. But I'm literally, if you go to my college, the year I graduated, and you go through at the very bottom is me. I graduated barely. So nobody wanted to talk to me.
But I think that's true for a lot of entrepreneurs. I think Robert Kiyosaki talks about this in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are actually C students, not A students. So I think that's interesting.
No question about it. You know what I think it is? And I don't know if Kiyosaki talks about this, but I think through this, a lot of us entrepreneurs, although we had what it takes to be entrepreneurs, we may not have been entrepreneurs had we been A students. Because like I said, had I been an A student, I would have absolutely done whatever my buddies have done. Sure. I would have worked for a top firm. I would have gone into the conveyor belt. I just never would have tapped into it. So a lot of us are forced into being entrepreneurs. It's just some of us have the gene. So when we're forced into it, some of us thrive, some of us don't. But I don't think I would have been an entrepreneur had I had good grades. Yeah.
And listening to your story, it seems like everything you touched, you were having some level of success at there. But obviously, and I know there are definitely challenges along the way. Talk about some of the challenges from the very beginning when you first kind of, got out of school and you couldn't get an interview and you had to kind of start your own thing. What were some challenges that you had to learn about just business in general that you feel like you've really been able to learn and take with you today?
Well, interestingly enough, I talked to my dad about this a lot. I never looked at what I went through as challenges. I really didn't. Like my dad tells me that, Pete, the way you did it, I don't know, like I want my kids to be part of the business that we're at. And, they're typical kids. They don't want anything to do with their parents and all that. They want to do their own thing. But my dad tells me, he's like, Pete, I don't think most people could put up or go through what you had to go through. There were times I slept in my car. There were times that when I would eat, I'd pull into like the local hotel that served free breakfast in the morning, and I was pretend I was registered there, and I just pull in there, and that was like my meal for the day, and whatever I could grab into my pockets was what I snacked on the rest of the day. There were times I slept in the rest stops, because I remember one of the businesses I was building, a networking business that actually really got me to be the toughest, that probably became my biggest in terms of being tough and understanding people skills and all this. I was traveling across the United States. And it was funny. I was traveling across the United States telling people how to be successful, and I was sleeping at the rest stop that night because I couldn't afford to get a hotel room, It's funny. It's funny you asked me that question because a day or so I was being interviewed somewhere else, and they were telling they kind of asked me the same question. They worded it a little bit differently. They said, tell me about some of your dark moments. And I never really looked at what I was doing as challenging. To me, it was just the norm. But I still remember, I'm like the least mechanical person in the world. I can't, like when I have light bulbs changed, I have to call one of my people at my own personal house to have light bulbs changed. And I remember one time I was driving to somewhere where I was doing a meeting, and I got a flat tire. And again, I'm so mechanical. I had a suit on that was probably worth $100 because I couldn't afford a real suit. I had a shirt on that was too big for me because I probably bought it at Goodwill back then. And somebody stopped by. They weren't going to change the tire for me, but they told me how to do it. And as I was changing the tire, a truck went by and just splashed the crap out of me. And I remember I got to a hotel where I was doing a meeting that night, and I couldn't even afford the room to stay in the hotel. I was doing a meeting downstairs, and I couldn't afford a room to stay there. And I remember I was in a bathroom, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I said, I can't believe this. And I can't remember if I was in my 30s or 20s still, but I was just like, what the hell? I mean, I was covered in dirt. I was cleaning myself off. I had this $100 or $50 suit on. Nothing fit the right way. And I was like, what the hell? But even in all those moments, these other guys call them the dark moments, you call them the challenges, and then we all have the same challenges. I mean, God forbid we have a challenge like a kid. Those are the bad challenges. And God forbid a kid health issue. That's the kind of crap that God forbid. But everybody else, we all have the same challenges. I bet you and I had the exact same challenges building a business. What are they? Everyone has financial challenges. Everyone has confidence challenges. Everyone has doubt challenges. I mean, the challenges don't change. We all go through the same thing. We all want to quit this business. I mean, right now, 20 years into this thing, I want to sit here and tell you how smart I was. I never wanted to quit. Dude, I think I quit this business 100 times the first year I was in the business. You know what I mean? I just always came back. So the challenges were all the same.
So hold on, you kind of left us hanging, Peter. You finished the story. You said in that moment, and then you left us hanging.
I mean,
you're staring in the mirror. You're looking at the dirt's on you, and in that moment,
and I'm looking, and I'm saying, what the hell's going on with me? I mean, I'm doing this thing. I'm paying the ultimate price. I'm working 24/7, and this is what I got to show for it. A hotel that I can't afford to get a room in, dirt that I can't get off, but again, the whole point of that dark moment was very simple. We all go through these. There's people that are listening to us today that are on the verge of quitting this business, that are on the verge of quitting whatever the hell it is they're doing, right? And so the challenges don't disappear. And so a lot of times the question really that I like to be, so many people ask that I really like is, how do you get to be where you are at? What's the secret? And I'll tell you, ultimately, I think the secret is actually pretty simple. Because in real estate, you'll agree with, there's nothing that you and I do that no one else can do.
Totally.
We're not performing brain surgery. Like, if you're not performing brain surgery, we could be like, you're stupid, we're smart. We can't say that to anybody because we're doing like basic shit. Like we're getting signs out, we're doing direct mail, we're using social media. But the key to someone like you, I think the key to other successful people, the key to guys like me, is that we just go through shit and we keep on going forward. I mean, That's really the bottom line. That's the bottom line. It's not, the challenges are the same. We just refuse to quit.
Peter, would you, in light of you saying that, would you say that this is not entrepreneurship in general? Is everyone's not cut out for that because everyone is not kind of cut out to go through all the crap? Or do you think just anybody could do that?
No, I used to think that anybody can do it. And I still think anybody can do the mechanics. But the older I get, the more I realize that not everybody is going to be able to have the mindset to persevere through it. I mean,
is that learned? Can people learn that mindset?
I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth. I have a lot of kind of debates about this kind of stuff. I'd like to sit here and tell you, great. Yes, Brian, everybody can. It's easy and all this. But some people it's no different than like my daughter broke her arm like a couple months ago, and I was in an emergency room, and they were like fixing her arm. I swear to God, I almost threw up. I can't do it. I just cannot look at like people in emergency rooms, like with that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. I'm just like anybody. I know I can do it, like if I had to, but like that ain't me. I just don't have the mindset to work through that kind of a challenge. And so in the end, and why I say this, because because I work with a lot of, we work with a lot of people. We have a lot of coaching clients. We have a tremendous amount of success we're doing with them because we're partnering with them. But I see it, man, and it's frustrating. You'll be talking to somebody and they let the little crap, it's just really, I mean, we're like going to get in a pissing match over the fact that you thought it's left and it's right. And you thought that we pay 50, but we're only willing to pay 48. And then you're going to say that now we're going to quit this whole thing. So probably in the end, everybody can do the mechanics. I don't know if everyone's got it up here, the mental toughness.
And I think that's why I love what you are doing, because you provide all of, you just named the finances, the doubt. You kind of, with what you're doing through the partner-driven, your program, is you erase all of that. If people can just bring you a great deal, you've erased all the challenges. So that's why I love what you're doing.
You said something 20, 30 minutes ago, and, we kind of brushed over it. You said people say they kind of do this. And I'm telling you, there's no one in the country, and I'm proud to go on tape, be videoed, to profess this. There's no one that does what we do now. Because in our partner-driven coaching program, what happens is, number one, my team here behind me, this 10,000 square foot building, my marketing team gets involved with our coaching clients, and we help them find the deals. Like, we research pre-foreclosures.
Yeah.
We skip trace for them.
Yeah.
We get them information no one else can get them. Then once we help them identify the deals, I step in. Here it is. We need $100,000. Here's $100,000. We need earnest money. Here's earnest money. We need electric bill paid. It's paid by myself and my team here. So we handle 100% of the financing or the money. We handle 100% of the construction budget if construction needs to be done. My team actually that's fixed, thousands of properties for me, could be deployed and knows how to understand how to do things remotely. So we help them with the fixing of them. We obviously know how to sell stuff. We've sold thousands of properties. We help our partners sell the properties, and we split the profits. I'm telling you, I know it's sounds goofy, like hyping on yourself. This is cool stuff.
Yeah.
This is really, really cool stuff. This is where our success rate with just an average coaching client, where we would just give information, and then what happens when you just give information. Most people take the information and they do nothing with it.
Totally.
Our success rate with just when we used to just coach to now where we actually partner with people has gone through the roof. I mean,
right.
It's out of this world. Absolutely.
So I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're about to record another podcast here coming up. I want to kind of touch on a couple of things specifically. You mentioned a word earlier when you were telling your story, when I asked you about challenges. You said that that's what kind of helped develop you into being tough. What is that? What happened specifically that meant that? And what does being tough mean to you? And why is that important in real estate investing?
I think ultimately, look, here's the reality. I think ultimately, this goes back to what we just talked about. Ultimately, most of us, or most people I know, are not naturally born with the traits that they need to really get to the top. That's why very few people get to the top. If everyone had the natural trait of a winner, if everyone had the natural trait of a millionaire, there'd be a lot more winners, there'd be a lot more millionaires. I hate to say it that way, but that's reality. And so what I was forced to do because of my kind of not being very smart intellectually, because of not able to ever get a regular job, I was forced to really, really, really understand the facts of life. And when I say the facts of life, I truly mean, again, sleeping in my car, not having enough money to eat. I mean, that is the kind of stuff that gets you mentally tough. See, when I say tough, I don't mean physically tough. When I say tough, I don't mean rude. When I say tough, I mean mental. I think everything, 95% of everything you and I do, it's all mental.
Totally.
It's all mental. You've got to learn how to work this thing. And so, most people don't have the natural ability to understand how to do it. B, some people actually seek professional help. You go to the Anthony Robbins of the world. There's a whole industry that teaches people how to be mentally tough.
Right.
But again, that's more of a learned, and then, I learned it. Am I applying it? But I lived it. I did some really, really tough things in order to become successful. And that's what got me tough here. And now it's just, I don't know I'm sure something could probably break me. I'm sure I don't know what it would be.
So the reason I asked that question is I want to really set up another question, and I'm glad that you answered it the way you did. You talked about the facts of life, and it almost sounds like you're a little bit like me. You're a realist. You know, whatever is actually happening, you're kind of in that moment, and you can understand exactly what it is. You don't sugarcoat it. You don't have to try to. It's not necessarily being pessimistic. It's not being optimistic either. It's just, I'm a realist. This is the way it is. So I'm going to deal with these circumstances the way that they actually are. And I know a lot of people try to sugarcoat certain things. You've always been that way as long as I've known you. And that's been about 4 or so years where you've just been kind of straight to the point. This is the way it is. And trust me, I've done it before. I've done 3,500 plus deals. This is the way it is, period. And that's your coaching style. I want you to talk about that just your style, because there's a lot of different coaches out there. You mentioned the Tony Robbins, where, it's more of a rah-rah kind of stuff. And you're just more of a, hey, look, I've been there. I've done it. This is the way it is. Do it this way. And that's your coaching style. Talk about that for a second.
Ultimately, it's my personality. I'm a very kind of to the point. I'm not it's funny, we use Anthony Robbins. I mean, I think the guy's cool. He's the only legit guy out there as far as I'm concerned. I hate being in that atmosphere. I do not want to jump up and down. I do not want to do rah-rah. That's just not my style. That's not how I lead. That's not how I do things. So
that doesn't make it wrong, by the way. No, it's just a different style.
Tony was the first guy to ever explain to me why he does it. That made total sense to me. Totally. I mean, I'm totally buying into it, but it's just not me. It's just not my thing. But when he explained it, I got it. Totally 100% unequivocally. Now I understand why you do it. I understand there's a purpose behind it, but it's just not me. So one, my style is to be very down to the point, very straightforward. The other thing is, I realized, especially when people hire someone like myself, someone like yourself, when people pay us money for information, I'm of opinion, I got to deliver the reality to you. Now, I know some people rather sugarcoat it, and they feel like if you sugarcoat it, you at least make your client happy. Again, that's their style. My style is, I'm going to give you the reality of the situation, okay? And so that's why, people sometimes say you're kind of short, you're kind of brash. Now, I'm just going to tell you the way it is. I'm just going to tell you that, if you go out there and you want to find a real estate deal, and you're going to block off every Saturday from 3:30 to 3:45 to, call in a couple of Craigslist ads, this is going to take forever. Now, I could sit here and praise you and tell you what a great guy you are and feed you for a ton of money and you'll pay me for the rest of your life. Not the way I like to do things. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. You're not going to be happy with results. You and I are going to have more difficult conversations than fun and exciting conversations. So again, I've developed it. It's how I am in real life. I tell people, I don't know if you remember this. I might have told you this when you and I were working together. The first time that someone hires me to work with them, I tell them, you and I are not going to be sitting here talking for 6 hours. Because if I tell you in 6 hours what I know about real estate, you're just going to be overwhelmed.
Totally.
You're going to be you're not going to be able to you're going to be like, what the heck do I do? So you and I are going to have very short, very specific conversations, couple of minutes. You're going to go out there, you're going to understand it, you're going to implement it, you're going to come back, and I'll give you the next step. So it's a style thing. I'm
in complete agree. That's actually maybe that's where I got it from, but that's my style too, because I don't agree with, we put on seminars and these are 3 full days. You talk about 6 hours. You're talking about, I'm doing 24 hours of teaching, 3 8-hour days. And I know I'm overwhelming people. And that's a little bit of the point to it, to overwhelm them. You need the coaching. And so when they come into my coaching program, it's here's step 1. We're going to have a quick conversation. Here's step 1. We don't even go to step 2 until you show me that you implemented and you've taken action on step 1. There's no point, because like you just said, they're going to get overwhelmed. I agree with that totally. So I do want to mention this. So Peter came and spoke at our real estate investing club here in Birmingham, Alabama a few months back. If you want to go watch the video on YouTube that's out there, just search Peter Vekselman when you go to our YouTube channel. And we'll get that all linked up in the show notes as well. Peter, I want to talk about 2 specific things. One is you put out a meme. I know you got some social media people that are working for you now. They did it a little bit. Obviously, nothing's going to go out with your approval. You put out a picture that had a caption on it the day you came to Birmingham that said, "I am a badass mother effer."
I didn't do that. They did that, but I approved it.
You approved it. Okay. That came out the morning you were coming to Birmingham. I got a lot of phone calls. I got a lot of emails. I got people saying, who is this guy? Should I come and listen to him? Talk about that for a second. Why did you choose to do that? And just talk about the fact that you may have alienated some people by doing stuff like that with your style.
Well, again, look, it goes back to your last question of my style. Okay. There are different people there that respond differently to different things.
Totally.
Just like you and I respond differently to different things. There's people that respond differently. So because if I just explain to you who I am as an individual, I'm kind of to the point, straightforward. I'm going to give you reality. You're going to be successful with me if you're going to tell me blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, right? Those are the type of people that I tend to attract.
Yes.
Okay? Those are the kind of people that I tend to attract. So when my social media people put out this, dude, you don't know how much that picture has haunted me. I am asked about that one picture just about every day by somebody it's just, that thing is just like crazy, the impact it had. But you're right. That one post where it did say something like, I'm a badass, blankety blank, you know what I mean? That's me. And so when somebody reacts to that video, to that picture and says, you know what, too cocky, too arrogant, not my style, they and I probably would not get along too well. And I probably not going to not be able to help them as much. But at the same time, if somebody looks at that and says, you know what, I can relate to that because I want to be that. And I want to claim that. And I already am that to a certain degree. And I am that, boom. So it's just the messaging I put out through social media or to the world is who I am. And in the end, this is why we're having as much success with our clients as we do, because those are the kind of people that come in. And let me tell you something. When you hear some of the people that we work with here, I mean, when they come in here, sometimes they fly in and visit us. These are bad blankety blanks. You know what I mean? They are in their own right. And I don't mean like bad, like blankety blank, but bad. I mean, these are confident, driven. It could be a single mom from Detroit, Michigan. But man, when they get around us, they are bad to the bone. And I like that.
I love that because I'm the same way in the sense that I think we all, I know there are a lot of gurus out there and a lot of real estate coaches out there. I think all the real estate coaches tend to attract people who are most like them. And that's probably a great thing. I tend to attract people that are a lot like me, which, because I have the similar personality. When we do our seminars, I'm telling people exactly the way it is. This is hard work. It's a hard business. It's like you said, it's 90% mindset, all those kinds of things. And I love the way you answer that question. The arrogance and the cockiness part. Let's talk about that. That's the second thing I want to talk about, because you come to our REIA and it's just really interesting to see the dynamics of the room, where literally half the room is like completely turned off and half the room is like, yes, this is my guy. This is what real estate is. But just talk about, there's no lukewarmness when it comes to Peter Vekselman. Just talk about that for a second, that no one that comes around you is going to be lukewarm. They're either going to love everything you have to say, or you're just not going to be their cup of tea, and that's fine.
And again, goes back to what we've been talking about. It's who I am. It's my style. And see, here's the other thing I've learned. When we try to be something we're not, I can be lukewarm, by the way, and I can fluff things up. And I can make that whole audience not 50% alienated, but 100% in love. But you know what? In the end, I'm not going to deliver the value that I could deliver. I'm going to have to tell them things that really aren't really reality, in my opinion. And I'm not going to get the messaging out the way I want to get the messaging out. So, you know what I mean? Again, it's me. And you know what? Look, Brian, at my stage in life, at your stage in life, at other people's stage in life that have achieved the measure of success, we are who we are. You know what I mean? We really are. When you look at these uber successful people, we've been talking about it, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins. You see him at his home with his wife, where you get a personal chance to talk to him. He is exactly what he is on that stage. You know what I mean? You look at some of the, I know some very uber successful executives, nothing to do with real estate, executives in corporations. They are who they are. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be something I'm not. I don't feel comfortable being something. I don't like to fluff things. You know what I mean? Man, I'll tell you, since you told your audience I turned half your audience off, I'm going to tell you, there's one guy that was at your thing, and I still remember his name. I don't know why I remember his name, but he got on the social media the day we left, and for 4 hours, he literally stayed up that whole night, and he lambasted me. Now, the funny thing is, I don't know. See, you're looking surprised. So
I didn't know this.
Somebody must have gotten to him because literally he's been taking it all down little by little. So maybe he's warmed up to me because I think maybe he started following me, realized I wasn't BS. I am really a successful guy. I do really do deals, you know. And so literally he's been kind of the crap he put up that night. He's been coming. My people have been monitoring him. And so you know, here's the thing. I think a lot of times people misinterpret strong people for fake people. Okay. So they look at this, you know, it's like if you look at an incredible athlete who performs at a peak level and he says something cocky. Well, if he's incredible athlete and he's a world-class athlete and he backs it up, that cockiness doesn't come through as bad as you get somebody else saying the exact same thing in a cocky way, and then you see them in a field of play, and they're not even playing. They're a backup somewhere. You see what I mean?
Totally.
So a lot of times that cockiness up front, it's just misconstrued. They think it's BS. They think, well, he can't be that. He doesn't do deals. He's just an arrogant, you know, blankety blank. But then what happens when they start understanding and they take a little time, which is I think what happened to that guy, when he started following us and following me and started seeing, wow, he is closing deals. He is partnering with people. He does have a shitload of testimonials. He's exactly what he is. It's just his style. Then a lot of those people, that barrier gets broken down.
Yeah. I don't even know who that is. I need to go back and do some research. I didn't
see his name. I don't know why. Dude, I can't remember yesterday's name of somebody I met. But I remember that name because my social media people caught him. I had some of my own people come to me like, do we have to like find this guy? I'm like, dude, no, listen. I'll text you his name. I'm sure you know him.
That's awesome. No. So before we go, the last thing I want to just kind of touch on briefly, tell us what's going on with Hollywood, these cameras that are coming in, they're filming. When are we going to see you on TV? What channel? Tell us, give us all the details.
Really cool. Well, it goes back to our partner-driven coaching program where we're, you know, teaching people how to do deals, partnering with them on all this. Some Hollywood producers heard about it. You know, one of them is a really big producer that I don't know anything about producers, but if you know about producers, if I'd say his name, you'd hear about it. They just thought this was a great story. You know, when Hollywood looks at things, they don't necessarily just look at stories, they look at audiences. Mm-hmm. You know, can this warrant an audience?
Right.
And they just think, well, what we're doing, you know, it's with everyday people across the whole United States. It don't matter what kind of person, what kind of individual, what kind of background. So they feel like there's a huge audience here. It just started getting filmed a couple weeks ago. It was pretty cool. You know, they follow us around. You know, they kind of, you know, so I don't know the answer to all your questions, like who's going to be seeing it, where it's going to be seeing it, because what they do is first they film a bunch, they put reels together, then you kind of, you know, then they try to figure out where it would fit in best and all this. But I will tell you the cool thing about it, even before it happens, it's like everyone's hearing about it. So it's as if it's happening already, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's piggybacking off of it already.
Well, we're very excited to watch it. Definitely let us know. I know you will be letting us know, and we'll definitely link all that stuff up. Peter, I can't thank you enough. Guys, get in touch with Peter Vekselman if you're interested in partner-driven real estate investing. If you have a great deal, Peter wants to fund it, and he wants to split that deal with you. If you don't know how to find a great deal, and you're all throughout this great country, Peter obviously offers a lot of education as well and teach you how to find a deal, skip trace the deal, find the owners, negotiate with the owners, and all of that great stuff. Peter, tell people how they can. I know you're everywhere on social media. They can probably just Google search you, but what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they're interested in the partner-driven real estate program?
Couple ways. One, just go to our website, www.coachingbypeter.com, coachingbypeter.com. Or you know what? I actually give out my own cell phone number, 404-915-9685. That's 404-915-9685.
We're going to put all that in the show notes, guys. So don't feel like if you're driving down the road, you got to break your neck to write this stuff down. We'll put it all in the show notes. Just click on that button, scroll to the very bottom. You'll have the website link, the phone number, everything, all the different ways to get in touch with Peter. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and providing just tremendous value, Peter. We really do appreciate you.
Hey, I enjoyed it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, Brian.
Guys, hit that subscribe button. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time.